What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ty, behind the camera, here for yet another video on Ty Drives. And this is the 2023 Volvo XC60 and the new Plus trim level with the also new dark exterior styling package. So we're going to take a look at this 2023 XC60, hopefully before this storm rolls in, and we'll see what it's all about. We'll get started on the exterior. We'll then pop the hood, see what powers the XC60 for 2023. Then we'll move our way onto the inside, starting with the cargo area, moving forward to the rear seats, and finally the front seats, and we'll kind of discuss all of the features in between. But you're going to want to make sure you stay tuned to the end of this video, because I'm going to strap this GoPro to my head, and we're going to get a first-person point of view driving impressions with this new XC60. But to start off, we'll get going on the headlamps here, which are full LED powered for the high and low beams, turn signals, daytime running lights. Everything is all LED. You also have headlamp washers up there too, parking sensors that span throughout the front bumper. And part of the dark package is all of these sort of dark gloss black elements, such as the grille, the sort of side grills and lower grills as well, which leaves it a pretty neat appearance. And also down below some of the black accents, you can see we have full LED fog lamps, which is pretty neat. Nice shapes on the hood too. We have sort of this indentation towards the center, and 20-inch wheels for this particular vehicle. Really nice use of the sort of machine face to the wheel and black painted pockets. 255/45 are the size of the tires, and 20 inches the wheels measure up at. You can see more of the black accenting around the windows and the mirror caps, as well as even the roof rails up there. You can see the shark fin antenna and panoramic sunroof on the roof. Pretty neat body lines down here too, so that the bottom of the doors and sort of the plastic cladding down there too has a pretty neat shape. We have smart key entry, so the little pad on the door handle there will lock the vehicle, and you just put your hand behind the handle to unlock. And that goes for the rear handles as well. Taking a look back here, we have the same wheel and tire setup. Really good looking wheels for this car. And I kind of like how Volvo set up the trim levels for 2023. So they definitely did change it around just a little bit. We have three basic trim levels: the Core, the Plus, and the Ultimate. But they actually separated the exterior styling so that you could have like an R-design sort of sporty appearance, but with all the luxury features, and vice versa. So that's a pretty neat feature there. Taking a look back here, we have LED tail lamps. Everything is all LED, so the tail lamps, the turn signals, and the brake lights all LED back here. You can see as far as badging, we have the XC60 Volvo printed out across the deck lid, and the B5 all-wheel drive, which is our powertrain. We also have the reversing camera and the trunk release, also parking sensors back here, and hidden exhaust tips. We have some more black accents, pretty neat, down towards the bottom of the bumper, and of course parking sensors. So a little bit of styling changes on the 2023 XC60. What do you guys think? I personally think it looks pretty good with this dark styling package. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. So under the hood of the 2023 XC60, we have three different powertrains. This one being the B5, which is the base powertrain. That will come with 2-liter turbocharged inline 4, and it's good for 247 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. We also have the B6, which adds a supercharger to that powertrain and adds 295 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque, in case you want even more power. And we also have the top-tier T8 trim level, which is a plug-in hybrid. So we have the turbocharger, we have the supercharger, and we still have the inline 4 powertrain, but with the addition of electrification. That's 462 horsepower and 472 pound-feet of torque. So that is definitely the powerhouse of the three motors. But we have the B5 here. And underneath the hood, it's pretty simple. You know, we have a pretty large engine cover, but everything seems very accessible. Very large seals to keep the engine noise out. And we'll definitely see how this powertrain works on the test drive. Alrighty, so checking out the cargo area on the XC60. Of course, we have a powered trunk lid, which is actually optional on this vehicle. We have a pretty good amount of space back here. We have sort of two sets of load bars, one on the painted part of the rear bumper and one on the inside. And that really does protect a lot of things when you're loading suitcases in and everything. You don't damage the more expensive items, you kind of just damage, you know, or protect the painted surfaces. We have all-weather floor mats in here, as well as the carpeted and nice cargo tray. As you can see, we have cargo tie-downs in every corner. Once we lift up the cargo floor, we have the spare tire back here. LED illumination for the rear. We have grocery bag hangers and a nice cargo shade that'll protect the prying eyes. And as you can see, you also have a little cargo pass-through in the center there. Two buttons up here, one to lock the vehicle and close the trunk, and one to just close the trunk. And next we could take a look at the rear of the XC60. Beautiful blonde interior for the leather interior on this vehicle. Really definitely lightens up the vehicle. You also have this very nice and soft armrest over here, and sort of soft touch materials everywhere else on the door, which is very nice to see. We also have the 14 speaker Harman Kardon audio system on this car. We have coat hooks up here, air vents down here, and below the seats as well for the air vents. Very nice graining to the leather on this vehicle too, and you can also fold down the rear seats with this button right there. And the central also fold separately, as you saw in the trunk, and we also have the armrest that folds down, and a new cup holder design for the rear. But why don't we hop in and see how much room we're working with back here. It actually sit pretty low and kind of relaxed down in the back seats here, so it's a pretty comfortable seating position and plenty of room back here. We have nets to either side, a little storage area right here for smaller things, and heated seat controllers back here too. Pretty small drivetrain hump back here too, so if you had to fit a third person back here, you could definitely do that, and they will be pretty comfy. Very large panoramic sunroof too, as you can see in relation to the headrests. It's pretty large. You have LED illumination back here, grab handles, and even speakers up on the ceiling there, which is pretty neat. And with that being said, let's check out the front seats. Alrighty, and this is definitely the business end of the XC60. As you can see, the door handles are finished in a nice chrome. We have two-person memory for the driver's seat. You can see the branding for the Harman Kardon audio system, as well as all of our window controls. We have powered child locks for the rear, power folding mirrors as well, and a little bit of storage down there too. Very nice light colored open pore wood trim throughout the front of the vehicle. We have a button right here to release the trunk. Also a switch up here to release the steering column. It does tilt and telescope, and the pedals down below. Pretty nice stainless steel plate right there for the driver. And we have pretty much fully powered seats here with the two-way lumbar, so just in and out with the lumbar on this seat. But pretty nice, same colored stitching, and again, a very nice grain to the leather. Pretty cool design to the seats too. So here's the key for the XC60, pretty traditional Volvo key. We have the lock, unlock, and trunk release on the sides of the key, and on the other side, the panic alarm. We also have a little slider over here, and the key will kind of come apart, and you'll have a physical key on the inside of this in case you need to use it. But we do have this sort of turn to ignition for the XC60 and really all Volvos, except for the XC40 in that fashion. Now this has a mild hybrid, and I'm pretty sure that every vehicle in Volvo's lineup will be a mild hybrid this year, which means it kind of eliminates the starter mechanism in this car. So you really kind of don't hear the cranking of a starter, you just kind of hear the engine whir on, which is a pretty neat sort of feeling here. So we're going to start off with what's right in front of us, and that is this beautiful dual tone steering wheel. So we have kind of the blonde colored with the black on the outside. Very nice looking steering wheel, and you know where your hands mainly touch are going to be on the black. So if you have dirty hands, don't worry about it. You know, your hands are mainly going to be touching the black colored portion. Over here we have all of the adaptive cruise control settings, and over here all of the media controls such as the voice commands, some extra information on the upper screen, and up and down for your radio, and back and forth for your radio as well. And it also will double as a controller for the screen up there if there's any messages popped up. You know, if not, this will just act as your volume and skipping for the radio. Behind the steering wheel we have a couple of stalks to control your all of your lighting controls, such as your automatic high beams, you know, your turn signals, fog lights, front and rear, and over here are your front and rear wipers. Now up here, very nice looking gauge cluster. You can also press this button over here to simplify it a bit. It'll kind of get rid of the map in the center, but I kind of like the map up here. Really clear display, just not very configurable. The only things we have here are the speedometer, the sort of map in the center. We also have a sort of lane keep display, as well as the gear and the revs as well to the right. On the upper dash, we have pretty much soft to the touch materials, a center channel speaker, which is very nice. And that brings us to the new Google-based system. So some of the Volvo's lineup had this Google-based system for 2022. However, all of them will now have it in the 2023 model year. Definitely very simple and easy to get used to. We have the maps over here, which of course are powered by the Google Maps. We have the radio screen right here, where all of your presets will pop up in the center, and we can also switch between your favorites as well. We can pop up what's playing right now. Very nice screen, kind of like an iPhone playing music, which is pretty neat. We have the phone screen and then sort of your Google Assistant. We can swipe down from the top and get various other things, kind of like create your own profile. And also other things over here, sort of a jumbulation of all of your different apps. We finally have Apple CarPlay with this system as well. We have our seat controls and our heated steering wheel controls, so heated seats, heated steering wheel in the front too on this vehicle. We have all of our climate settings, so our defrosters up here, AC settings, where you want the air to blow, and the fan speeds, as well as the two different zones for the temperature. We have the passenger seat controls, as well as our settings. So we have a few different things we can go through here. We have an off-road driving mode, the steering assistance, all of the safety assistance that you could turn on and off as well. We have the sound settings to adjust for the Harman Kardon audio. We also have connectivity, the geared Bluetooth settings, controls and things like that to fold the rear headrests, wipers to change your wipers, different displays. You can automatically control your trip displays in the center screen up there, or kind of have them off. Applications, different profiles you get set up, and all of your different system settings and whatnot in here as well. So definitely very simple screen, and it does everything that you need to do without it being extra complicated. So we have more wood coming all around the screen and into the passenger area. Sort of some vitals in the center over here for hard buttons such as the hazards, the defrosters, the volume knob, and then kind of a home button for the center screen. Up here we have a couple of different storage cubbies over here, sort of put smaller things like change or pencils and pens. We also have a larger one with a 12-volt power outlet and one for 2 cup holders. 8-speed torque converter transmission, sort of an electronic gear selector with kind of hollow in the center, pretty cool design. all the way back for drive, all the way forward for reverse. And that brings me to our parking camera. Very clear resolution, and it is a 360-degree view system, as you can see, and you can kind of just press any individual camera and you get that view, which is pretty neat. Sort of system there. And then just press the P for park. We have the engine start stop knob right here, the electronic parking brake, and the auto hold feature right there. Nice cushy center armrest, and once you pick that up, you can see we have 2 USB-C inlets and some storage. And the passenger area has the glove box. It's all illuminated, felt lined, and lots of room in there as well. That brings me up to the mirror. It's all frameless with some garage door home links up there, LED illumination up top, and we have sort of like tap lights, and then a sort of all on for the lighting. One control used for the panoramic sunroof, so we kind of slide. It's kind of like a touch sensitive sort of deal for the shade and the sunroof, and you can use that same controller to tilt and to slide the glass portion of the sunroof. Once you open it up, it's very airy in here, so that's pretty nice. And we can't forget about the visors with the lights and everything, card holder, and also the grab handles. We can't forget about those two features there. But that pretty much does it for all the features of the 2023 XC60. Let's get it out on the road and see how it drives. All right, let's take this XC60 for a drive. All right, so throughout our drive, it's going to take us around to a few different driving scenarios. We're first going to take it down to this dead end and test out our turning circle for those of you who live in the city. That will be a useful test for you guys. And then we'll take it out onto a more straight road, sort of like a state highway, you know, 2-lane highway. We'll get up to 45, 50 miles an hour, see what it's like up at that speed. And we'll test out the tire noise, handling, and things like that. And finally, we'll get it out onto a back road. We'll get a sort of, 25 to 60 miles an hour acceleration. We'll see how fast the transmission reacts, and also just how fast we can get up to speed. And then we'll get it out onto the sort of windy and twisty part of the back road. We'll see how the suspension handles different bumps and things of that nature. So the 2023 XC60 mechanically is virtually the same as the 2022. Wow, very good turning circle too. That's pretty impressive. And the Volvos always seem to give up a really good turbo noise. So if you're a car guy, car gal, you'll definitely appreciate that. That's pretty neat. So we are working with 248 horsepower, 258 pounds-feet of torque, which is a pretty good amount. You know, that's probably about where everything else is in this class. I know at least the Q5 is right at those numbers there. Maybe a tad higher, but yeah, we'll have to see how this does on the acceleration test. I really would like to see how this transmission reacts too, since it is a single clutch, sort of not a single clutch, but a torque converter transmission, which is your conventional transmission, just kind of comparing it to an Audi Q5, which has a dual clutch transmission. So we'll see how this reacts to throttle inputs. But up at 50 miles an hour, you know, it's very comfortable, very smooth ride. You know, you really don't feel the road all that much. There is a bit of tire noise, a bit of wind noise coming from the mirrors, but that's to be expected. We do have some larger 20-inch wheels on this car, as I said before, during the features review part. And that does play a little bit of a role into that tire noise. But overall, pretty pretty comfortable at this speed, you know, 50 miles an hour. So that is pretty good. We've also very large mirrors, which definitely helps out with visibility, even if you're towing a trailer back there too. Now the XC60 really doesn't have a sport mode, so what we're basically gonna do is just get it up to 25 and mash the throttle and see what happens. So yeah, not too bad. Definitely gets up and goes pretty good. You know, once the turbocharger starts spooling and everything, the 8-speed reacted pretty quickly to the throttle input, and we're away. And it's definitely a smooth acceleration, you know, nothing that'll snap you back in your seat, but it is also definitely enough power to scoot this car around pretty good. I really like the map setup in the center of this display here. The Google Maps is very, very nicely integrated in this car. You know, just for driving around, you know, on a back road, say you don't really know this road too well, you can kind of gauge where your turns are and if you got to slow down before the turn comes, which is pretty neat. I really like the integration of the map in the center there. Now the steering is very light. You know what we could actually do is we'll go over here to the driving screen and we'll click the steering feel firm button and see what happens. So that actually does weighten up quite a bit, which is pretty neat. We have the lane keep assist interfering here, so we'll see in just a bit how that actually reacts. But it definitely seems to weighten up the steering a little bit, which is cool. We have one corner here which we can test out the suspension for our handling. Obviously this is a front-wheel drive based all-wheel drive system, which by the way you can get this car in front-wheel drive too, if you would like it, but all-wheel drive seems to be the more popular option, at least here in the Northeast. Yeah, really not too bad, not a whole lot of body roll. You know, it seemed to hug the road all right. So for those quick instances you have to make sudden turns, you know, this Volvo will be just fine for that. And yeah, the steering does feel actually pretty good. You know, it's definitely still pretty light even on the firm setting. And here's pretty much the worst part of our test drive as far as the roads go. And this part is pretty bumpy. But the Volvo seems to do a pretty darn good job at soaking up all the bumps. Yeah, definitely pretty good. You could hear the bumps, but you really can't feel them all that much, so definitely a very comfortable ride. You can also get the XC60 with an air suspension setup too, so if this isn't comfy enough for you, you can get air suspension, of course, for an additional cost. Now at this point in the video, I'd like to talk to you about seats. Now there's a couple different seats you can get with the XC60. This is sort of the more basic seat option that you can get. Still plenty comfortable. You know, you have the lumbar in and out and everything, and Volvo just does a really good job with the comfort of their seats. And you know, I know people who will only buy Volvos because of how comfortable these seats are, so definitely continues with that trend of comfort in the seats. You of course have other seat options where you can extend your thigh support, and you have cooling functions for the seat as well as massaging and everything, so you can really get into it with the options for the seats in the XC60 too. So that's definitely an option for you if you'd like. And the chassis seems to be pretty solid setup too, so every bump you kind of go over, it just, you get that feeling of being you know, just a very well put together car. You know, not something that's just gonna crumble when you crash into something, or God forbid if you crash into something, I should say. Alright, so we'll give it one small acceleration going up the hill again over here, you know, pending if this road is clear. Yeah, it looks like we got a pretty good straight shot. Really good mid-range power with this Turbo 4, actually. Alrighty, so that pretty much concludes the test drive and the entire video at that on the 2023 Volvo XC60. Now, what are my wrap-up thoughts? Very nice car for 2023. You know, it adds a little bit of things here and there, you know, some extra styling on the outside, and it gives you some more personalization options with the trim levels and the exterior styling. So that's a pretty cool element for the 2023 Volvo models. But pretty much the same as last year's model, which isn't a bad thing. The Google system just seems to simplify the infotainment, and it's just a very beautiful looking vehicle on the inside and outside, and it drives equally as well. So those are my wrap-up thoughts on the XC60. I hope you have enjoyed this vehicle just as much as I have, and I also hope you stay with us here at Ty Drives for more videos just like this one.